Kevin Durant got traded from the Phoenix Suns, but did he screw the franchise over on his way out? It's Stephen and Erik for another Trending Edition mini-pod, the first ever post-Kevin Durant trade mini-pod right here on PHNX Suns. You've been following along for the whole KD saga. We brought you round-the-clock coverage, including these mini trending pods in your audio and video feed, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, and of course, rate 5 stars as well. We will be breaking down Jalen Green's fit and of course, the return for the Suns on all of our shows going forward. We have a draft show coming up as well, Stephen, but it's time to take a look back at really what happened that pushed this trade over the edge and what some Suns fans consider to be a fleecing by the Houston Rockets. Now, there have been reports from Brian Windhorst saying that KD was repeatedly shooting down trades that effectively depressed his value and that almost more or less forced his way to where he wanted to go, which was Houston. And then there was Kevin Durant talking with Kay Adams at Fanatics Fest about how he had a say in where he wanted to go. So if I ask you, Stephen, did Kevin Durant screw the Suns over on his way out of Phoenix? What say you?
Nope. How can one who was unaware of the team trying to shop him ultimately screw the team that soured the relationship, sabotaged themselves in multiple respects in terms of the relationship and trust with him, the value of him after leaking that information and being succumbed to underwhelming returns being put to the table on him? Nope. Now, I think maybe he could have went to another team that maybe would have gave them more in return. But again, that's 7-8 steps behind based off of the precedent that you set for the situation.
I think the answer can be like yes and no, and not as a cop-out, right? I think Kevin Durant did everything that's well within his right as an all-time great.
Yep.
And I have always been a pro player empowerment type of person in the NBA, even when it doesn't benefit my team, right? And that makes it tough for sure. Now, Flex, when he was on our second podcast that we had on Sunday, me and him were chopping it up, he told me that the Suns did not get the best offer for Kevin Durant. That the best offer came from, and he didn't say this directly, I deduced it by some of the details he said, so I'm not putting words in his mouth, but came from a Minnesota team. And Kevin Durant didn't want to go there. He said, I'm not going to go play there. I don't want to pay the taxes. I don't want to play in the cold, whatever it is. So the Suns technically, according to, again, what Flex considers these packages, because we don't know what the Minnesota package was, did not get the best package in return for Kevin Durant. Now, did the Phoenix Suns screw up by what you said, which was trying to trade him behind his back?
That
and thus,
phrasing?
it's like it's like when you cross somebody, right, and then they retaliate against you, right? Like did Kevin Durant owe this franchise anything? But did this franchise owe Kevin Durant anything, right? Like we said the same thing with the Suns. You don't need to send KD to wherever he wants to go. You need to take the best package or whatever. I don't think that Minnesota would be willing to trade for Kevin Durant if he didn't want to go there. So that's not the Phoenix Suns doing Kevin Durant a favor. That's Kevin Durant saying, I want this, and Minnesota backing out on their own right. So only destination that was willing to give up what the Suns deemed a credible package was Houston. Did Kevin Durant make it more difficult for the Suns to trade him? Absolutely. But that's the game, right? Why did the Suns get Kevin Durant?
They got him because he wanted to come there. He chose them. He came out and said, I want Phoenix, and he got what he asked for.
And it's a different situation now, obviously, because he's not the same age, and you obviously don't get the same amount of assets for him. But I don't think Kevin Durant controlling where he wanted to go screwed the Suns over. I think the Suns put themselves in a position that screwed themselves over, and I think they did an okay job salvaging it. I don't love this package. I think there are pathways forward throughout this that we'll unpack on the show, but I do think that there is something to be said about, like, if KD truly put his foot down on Minnesota and the Suns could have gotten a way better package, like, I think some people would look at that as, okay, well, Kevin Durant screwed the Suns over by saying he doesn't want to go play in mini.
Yeah, I guess I would want to have a conversation with someone that does have that mindset, because what would you deem as the package, not you just figuratively, you deem as the package that gave you a better return of a guard that is younger than Devin Booker but plays a complementary style of play to him and is still very much growing into his own, and then another wing that gives you something that you just quite literally did not have, as well as a pick that was yours that you gave up and that you were able to spin the block and retain back. So I would just want to have that conversation to see where the mindset is on that. But I just don't see any package from Minnesota that would have enticed me more than even what the Suns had to settle, and I say settle, with from Houston.
Well, and I also think, Kevin Durant kind of played this game, and our producer Ayrton brought this up as well. And I know that when this happened, we talked about it on the show, where he was saying, like, when I get moved for huge packages, right? Like I get teams gut their roster.
Yep.
So Kevin Durant wants to compete. He wants to win a championship. He wants to go to the best situation. So if he continues to depress his value, and if he continues to try to pick and choose where he wants to go and tell people he won't trade there, it is good for him in the long run. And listen, I don't like that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I like that happened. But I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that if I was in Kevin Durant's position, I would do anything differently, right? The Phoenix Suns had to do what was best for the Phoenix Suns, and Kevin Durant had to do what was best for Kevin Durant. Yep. And unfortunately, those two things did not line up in the best way. But if you're going to look at Kevin Durant and say Kevin Durant screwed the Suns over, I think that's just a little bit of saltiness. I think that that's being upset. And I understand as a fan that you've been on this roller coaster, and I've been on this roller coaster with you. I'm front row with my hands up going, woo, like, or at the end of it. Like, if you're on this roller coaster and so much of this has happened, and then on the way out, you think you could have gotten a better ending because Kevin Durant, wasn't playing ball and he could have been playing ball, you're going to look at Kevin Durant and say, screw you. But you have to go back 5 or 6 steps, 5 or 6 months almost, it feels like at this point, and look at what happened for us to get here, right? And not just the trade deadline, Stephen, but the decisions that were made to put a team into place that got you to the point of trading Kevin Durant.
You do. And I think naturally, if you're looking at how things got to ultimately where they were, where was the inflection point? If you're looking at anything outside of self with that, then you are already behind the 8 ball in terms of this retool process, because you haven't taken accountability fully. You might take one piece of it, but if you're absolving yourself of blame in any capacity with why things have spiraled to where you ultimately had to send an all-time great away from a place where he literally just said months ago that he wants to retire here. If you're ducking that accountability, then you're just behind on everything. I don't imagine they're there. I think they acknowledge that, yes, we tarnished the relationship with him with that decision, but we really put him behind the 8 ball in terms of a team success dynamic that you can look at by the move that we made to go get Bradley Beal.
Right.
And ultimately also pigeonholing ourselves with the second tax apron, because now if we're not moving Durant and we can't get off a Beal, we can't run it back. That's not an option next season. So the most feasible option for you to do something that's under your control is to be able to do what you can with Durant and get what you get in return.
And even then, as a front office, you made the rookie move of trying to trade one of these guys behind his back. Like, of course it's going to get back to him. You think this guy who's been in the league for longer than you?
Yeah, you don't think you can't not think you would out leverage Kevin Durant. This is Kevin freaking Durant.
Right. And at the end of the day, even if you didn't go behind his back, he'd still have some say in where he went. 1000%. Just maybe he'd be more willing to play ball with you.
Yes.
There's a lot of these moments.
Would be more willing to play ball with you had you not went about the operations the way that you did.
Sure. And maybe they'd be more willing to play ball if they didn't think they can get one over on your GM. I think there are a lot of different layers to this, and we'll continue to unpack it on PHNX Suns. What do you think? Did Kevin Durant screw the Phoenix Suns over? Are we wrong? Are we right? Are we missing something? Drop a comment below. If you're listening on audio, 5-star reviews go a long way. You can even drop a comment on Spotify if you feel like you really want to do that. Or, of course, you could jump over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and, of course, turn notifications on. We're live 5 days a week at 3, but this week, a little different. Wednesday and Thursday will be live right at draft time, breaking down the Suns, who got a top 10 pick, the 29th pick, the 52nd, and the 59th pick. So a lot of work for us to do on the draft side this week. We're bringing you draft guests, we're bringing you Houston guests, and everything in between right here on PHNX Sports. Mark Stein was on Southwest Bias with Espo earlier today. There is zero, and I mean zero, other outlets that are covering Kevin Durant and the trade just like this. So make sure you stay tuned here. We'll be back with more trending mini pods. Just because KD is gone doesn't mean these disappear. We'll be back talking to you before you even know it.
Nobody does it like us.
Facts.
We all silly like the mayor.